Hello, and welcome back to part 5 of our Mallory Rock Hunt-a-Killer investigation. Before we jump into today's episode, after last episode, Sandra left a comment, and she asked, did you notice that the writing on the coded note that we think is from Martin to Joey has handwriting very similar to the note Jody sent, that we think is from Martin to Joey, not Jody, has handwriting very similar to the note that Jody sent to Beth in the first episode. And I hadn't noticed that. My fault. I don't generally compare one episode to the next unless we're specifically told to, but let's take a look at what Sandra was talking about. So this is the note from Jody to Beth from episode 1. And then this is the coded note that we think is from Martin to Joey in episode 4. And yes, at first glance, the handwriting does look very similar. So I broke it down a little bit more. I did some cutting and pasting and additional scanning. And the white letters are from the note from Jody to Beth. The blue letters are from the note that we think is from Martin to Joey. And if you look at the A's, they're written, while they may not be exactly identical, they are written in the same style. They're written down, around, and there. Down, around, and out. Down, around, and out. Down, around, and out. So it looks like the same person wrote both of those. And I was thinking, are they close enough or not, until I got to this eye. Both of these eyes are essentially exactly the same. And then you look at the M's, and both of the M's, the blue from Martin, the white from Jody, both of these notes were written, I think, by the same person. I think that's a definitive. I'm no handwriting expert, but that looks pretty much like definitive proof to me that they were both definitely written by the same person. So thank you, Sandra. Thank you very much for pointing that out to me. I really appreciate it. And that brings us to the start of episode 5. And let's do a brief recap. We know that Beth was murdered. We've already decided that. In episode 1, we pretty much confirmed that fact. And we even figured out where her body actually went into the water, which was on the opposite side of the island from where the police investigation had determined that it went into the water. In episode 2, we narrowed her time of death down to sometime between 9:10 p.m. and 10:13 p.m. So it's an hour and 13-minute window that she died in, based on when her watch stopped, based on when a text was the last message or text that she sent to her daughter. In episode 3, we eliminated Sam Gundy as a suspect. She was on camera sneaking around the Navigator's Club room right around the same time that Beth was murdered. So she'd broken into the Navigator's clubhouse, and they had indoor surveillance cameras, and she was caught on one. We broke in, found her on one of those cameras. Not us. Gwen broke in with our help, and we saw video evidence of Sam sneaking around inside of the club room. So we know that she could not have killed Beth. In episode 4, we eliminated Reverend Clarence Reaver as a suspect also. He was at a support group meeting for the families of the bridge collapse at the time of Beth's death. So there's no way that he could have killed her. The first thing that we need to look at now, as usual, I usually start in the same place every time. And that first place is going to be, of course, Gwen's letter to us. And so her letter reads, Detective, I was visiting my mom a few days ago, and when I went out to my car, I found a tiny glass bottle wedged under my windshield wiper. First the voicemail and now some strange bottle. I couldn't handle it. I didn't open it. I just sent it to you. They were following me. They know where my mom lives. Solly looked into the voicemail and found the original phone number, 207-370-2420, but he doesn't think I should call it. Maybe you can. Eliminating Reverend Reaver was much needed progress, but now I've been looking over my shoulder all the time, and is this what Beth felt like? After responding to your last email, I did some more research on the company that keeps popping up, Anchor Management. I requested the registration from the Chamber of Commerce and took the ferry to the mainland to pick it up. It felt good to get off of the island for a bit. I'm still not sure where this is going, but Beth was looking into the company, so it feels right. I also stopped by Jordan's bar, the Rock Lounge. I asked him where he went after the last bastion on the day Beth died, but he wouldn't get off the damn phone. I tried to get his attention, but the ratbag just scribbled something on a nearby napkin and shoved it in my face. From what I can tell, he claims he was at the lounge until closed the night Beth died. I know you haven't met Jordan, but he reeks of fraud and cheap cologne. Sully told me Jordan once tried to get out of a ticket by claiming tourists must have stolen the registration from his locked car. So to verify his story, I messaged a friend from high school who works the late shift at the lounge. I've uploaded screenshots of our conversation and the full picture she sent from the shared desktop. I still can't shake the fact that Beth's killer is looking for me. I finally convinced myself to go to Beth's house again. Since Joey is a suspect, I decided to look in his office and their bedroom. I definitely found some things you should take a look at. Also, this is crazy. Do you remember when I told you that the Mariners Lodge pump room flooded on the night Beth died? I got a notification on my phone at 9:32 p.m. and called Martin to fix it. Well, dealing with insurance has been a nightmare. All of a sudden, they're claiming that the valve might have been tampered with on purpose. I've included a video my night manager Phyllis made the night near the pool. She didn't remember seeing anything strange, but sent over the unedited footage anyway. I took a look at all the clips and found one that was taken at 9:36 p.m. You don't think this could be related, do you? Ruby asked to move in with me. She didn't go into too much detail as to why. I tried talking to Joey about it, but he's absent at best. And since Ruby lives with Martin and Jody right now, Joey and Jody, I keep getting tongue twisted with those two, and I don't know why. I figured emailing Martin would be the next logical step. My mistake. Martin clearly has no interest in continuing that conversation. I'm including a copy of the email on the desktop. Hopefully, I'm just reading too much into it. So that's pretty much what her letter to us stated. Now, first and foremost, one of the best things in the world about Hunt a Killer is that if they give you a phone number to dial, if they give you a phone number to call,
hello, thank you for calling Anchor Management Land Surveyors. Unfortunately, all of our staff are currently unavailable. Thank you and have a nice day. Goodbye.
So that's really cool. If they give you a phone number, if they give you a website in the documentation, it's a real thing. Like, I just love that so much about these Hunt a Killer mysteries. So now, the threatening phone call, apparently, that Gwen got came from the Anchor Management office, phone, whatever. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. Then the message that was in the bottle, and usually I put the pictures at the end, but this one sort of was important and played in right here. You're heading towards danger, Gwen. This won't bring her back. Change course or else. And as you can see, it's the same kind of A. And so I feel like this letter, this note was written by whoever wrote the Jody to Beth note, and whoever who is also the same person that wrote the Martin to Joey note. So we're sort of narrowing down our suspects here. So clearly, it's Martin or Jody that wrote this, right? I mean, I think that's what this points to. Then the next thing is this article, and I'm going to read the article. And it's one of those things that gives you sort of a little bit of detail. It's a lot of words for a little bit of information, but I think it's important. Amidst a burgeoning class action lawsuit against the state of Maine for damages caused by the now infamous Mallory Rock Bridge project, many local residents claim it is evident how little the state cares for its citizens. Because we're so removed, I'm sure they'll forget about us, said Sawyer Davis at the candlelight vigil held a month after the collapse. It's always been this way, and I know it won't change unless we do something about it. Davis is a representative from the Rocksteady Support Network, a trauma support group currently seeking restitution from the state on behalf of its members. And that's the support group that Reverend Reaver goes to on Fridays, is the Rocksteady support group meetings. It has been roughly 4 months since the fatal bridge collapse off of Woodard's Strand, and the families impacted by this tragedy have still not been granted restitution by the state. Yes, according to television network MRAV4's interview with local mogul Jordan Woodard, owner of the Strand, Woodard received a significant amount of money from the state through a loophole in his insurance policy, sparking a new wave of anti-mainland sentiment. The Mallory Rock Bridge was meant to establish easier passage between the island and the mainland, giving the island a much-needed economic boost. While the town council campaigned alongside state officials to find a location suitable for the endeavor, the bridge project was predominantly managed by the state. Town clerk Jennifer Sirocco said in a closed press conference shortly after the collapse, members of the town council were involved in the bridge project but were not in charge of contracting or managing state workers. The council solely relied on the state's expertise. The bridge collapsed early in construction when the cliff's face at the build site crumbled under the weight of the anchorage. The state workers who were installing the anchorage failed to communicate the dangers of the area to the workers below. When the anchorage began to give way, several workers were unable to evacuate in time and were caught in the rubble. The lack of responsibility taken by the state has sparked outrage in the community. Local activists have begun to question the efficacy of state management. Our community is unique. We are strong. Our island has made us strong. We may have lost our way temporarily, but we'll survive this together, Town Councilor Martin Hendricks said in a statement to the Mallory Rock Gazette. We cannot rest until every person affected has been properly compensated for their losses. Hendricks, whose own son Josiah, that's Joey, was injured in the incident, has spoken out against the state's mismanagement of the bridge project and leads the town council's lawsuit against the state. According to MRAV4, the legal battle is predicted to most likely take several years before being settled out of court. Survivors of the incident, including Kyle Richter, a 28-year-old civil engineer who lost his leg in the collapse, continue to doubt they'll ever be heard. Of course, the state doesn't care about a small town this far out of the way, Richter said on Good Fences this week. We all knew this, but it hurts to actually see it. So that's it. And I don't know if this is out of... So the important things to note were that the property belongs to Jordan Woodard. That's important to note. And the other, I think, important thing to note is that they're saying that the state failed to notify the workers of the dangers or what have you. And we'll look deeper into that in a little bit. So then, this is the business registration that Gwen had to go to the mainland to get. Anchor Management Land Surveyors, LLC, 649 Summer Street, Mallory Rock, Maine. So I just think it's interesting that we're acting, or not acting like, but everybody thinks that Anchor Management is this mysterious outside company. It just surprised me reading this that Anchor Management actually had a Mallory Rock address, because it just seems like such a mysterious thing. Just made the assumption, bringing up Anchor Management, that we were going to see an address that was not on the island. Because if I was going to do something shady with a business, I definitely wouldn't do something shady with registering a business on a small island. Like, we have islands on Lake Erie that people live on. One of them is Kelly's Island, and it's tiny. It must be, if it's like 3 miles across either way, we're lucky. So in a space that small, if I was going to set up a shady business, I'd probably want to come to Cleveland or someplace else to set the shadiness up. But anyhow, we're going to look. I have the map of Mallory Rock, and we just want to see where 649 Summer Street is. It doesn't matter. Just since we have it, we might as well take a look at it and see. And then it mentions Rowan J. Drodad is, I'm assuming, the owner, manager, whatever. At least when I looked at this, that's what I thought. And Rowan is going to come up in a little bit. I don't want to get into that now, but yeah, Rowan is, we're going to have a conversation about Rowan coming up. So I think that was really all that was interesting about this, just the location, and that Rowan J. Drodad is listed as the person who the business is registered to. Then we go to the land survey inspection summary. And the crazy things to me about the land survey inspection summary are, when you look at it, you need to look at it instead of looking individually at every single thing. There's an overall picture, I think, that this paints. First, they noted in the land survey inspection that there's gravel laid by the previous owner, and there are little visible cracks near the edges of the cliff that can be cleared. So we've already noticed that there's something wrong with the cliff face. And then we're looking at just check boxes about distance from the waterfront distance from the waterfront recorded. Is the survey carried out with a representative sample? Were weather conditions and temperature recorded? Check. Like all that little stupid. Presence of ground deposits verified, unknown. So I feel like when you're doing a land survey, that one of the things you would want to do, and maybe I'm reading into this, is you would want to know if there were any kind of ground deposits, because what's under the ground is, I think, one of the most important things to this. What are we digging into sand? Are we digging into limestone? Are we going to anchor in clay? Like what kind of deposits? What is under this ground? And they just sort of X'd it as unknown. Now they did acknowledge visible cracking, right? Check mark. Visible cracking. Limestone deposits, unknown. So once again, we don't know what we're going to anchor into. It's saying that not applicable. There are no visible cracks or breaks in the land. Major cracks or breaks. So they're letting it go there. Sinkhole probability, they're saying not applicable. Then over here they give the grade of good. Some minor issues detected. Yet I feel like it's contradictory. So we've acknowledged three times that there are cracks, that there's something wrong. We've acknowledged 3 times. But then in the stability report, they give it a 1, which on this is extremely stable. I don't know. I feel like the survey, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe the people that, if anybody does surveys and can tell me. But I feel like when you talk about you're going to anchor something to this cliff face to build a big bridge across water to the mainland, and you're talking about there are cracks in the cliff face, you don't give it an extremely stable 1 grade. Like, that just seems crazy to me. But then, down here, I just want to point out that David Chandler, the Maine Department of Transportation, signed off on the survey. That Rowan J. Droedad signed off on this survey. And that Martin Hendricks signed off on this survey, right? So here on the map, just so you know, right here where the cursor, the arrow is where we are talking about the bridge was being built. This is Woodard Strand right here. Up here, this is Summer Street. Up here is just where, and like I said, I don't think the actual location of anchor management matters. I just am surprised that on this map that lists commercial locations, it looks like anchor management is in somebody's house, basically, is what I'm saying. So then we need to oh shoot, sorry, I just dropped something. I apologize. So then we need to look at the next weird thing that we were sent that's sort of suspicious. Construction change order request. And there are 2 separate Martin Hendricks signatures. Martin Hendricks, the real Martin Hendricks, did not sign both of these. He may not have signed either one. I don't know. I don't know what Martin Hendricks' real signature looks like. But the thing that is odd here is that it's a work change order. And basically, if you put something in parentheses on a work order like this, it's a deduction. So the original agreement was for $200. They're deducting $50, which is then making the total amount due $150. And what they did is somebody, whoever signed this, paid $50 to Daniela Brighton to postpone replacing a light fixture. What? That doesn't make any sense, right? Daniela lives on Whitecap Way. So, and I'm gonna get out of this view. Oh shoot! Oh darn it! Hold on. Well, actually, you know what? I'll just go right here. That's fine. So Whitecap Way is right here. So why have we postponed replacing a light fixture on this street right here? They paid $50 for it and forged, I'm assuming forged a signature on a work order to not fix a light. Except right here is where Beth died. So were we not fixing a light because at some point we were planning on sneaking up to her and killing her there, and we needed it to be dark in case there's a camera? I don't know. I'm just reading way into stuff right now and not sure where to go with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what any of that means. I'm just really spitballing. But yeah, that's what it looks like. They paid $50 because they wanted to postpone replacing a light. So they gave Daniela a $50 discount. So take it for what it is. That, and once again, 2 different signatures, right? So, all right, let's talk about those 2 different signatures. So Martin Hendricks, this is the second work order that I think Martin actually signed. This is the signature from the land survey that Martin signed. Those 2 signatures match. I'm going to assume that is the real Martin Hendricks signature. This is the Martin Hendricks signature that was on the work order to not replace the light. And maybe that isn't the real Martin Hendricks signature. Maybe Martin wrote this note. I don't know. Anyhow, whoever signed this note, I feel like, and there are no letters to compare, I feel like just the flair on the J and the M and the H tells me that the same person that signed this note signed the work order. Right? And the same person that signed the survey signed that other work order. At least that's how I feel about this, and I don't know what to make of it. I still don't know. So are we saying that Jody wrote this note? That Jody wrote the note that was signed with the Navigators Club stamp? That Jody signed the work order to turn off the light or to not fix the light? Or are we saying that Martin signed that work order, that Martin actually signed this note, that he forged this note? I don't know. I don't know who forged what. But people are forging things and signing things that aren't theirs left and right here. And I just am not sure at all what to make of it. So for now, because I don't know who is what, I am going to say that these two are actually Martin and these two are actually Jody. But I have no proof of that. I just need to find some way to sort it in my head. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe next episode when this all plays out, we'll know for sure who did what, and it'll make more sense to me then. So then the big deal. Rowan J. Drodad. It's an anagram. And what an anagram is when you take a word or a name and you move those letters around. All the letters in the word get moved around to spell something else. The owner, president, whatever, of Anchor Management is Jordan Woodard. So Jordan's doing shady stuff. The Hendrickses are doing shady stuff. I don't know if the Hendrickses and the Jordan Woodard are doing shady stuff together, or if the Hendrickses and Jordan Woodard are doing their own separate shady stuff. Is it both Hendrickses? Is Jody Hendricks working with Jordan Woodard and Martin doesn't know? Is Martin Hendricks working with Jordan Woodard and Jordan doesn't know? Are none of them working together and this is all just a red herring coincidence? I don't know. It's something that's going to have to unfold, but that name, that Rowan J. Drodad, looked weird. The first time I saw it, I'm like, that's a weird name. And then it hit me when I was, not when I was looking at the business license, when I was looking at the survey, and I just saw that name there. And I was like, that's an anagram, isn't it? And sure enough, it was. The next thing is this coaster. And according to the coaster, this is the not coaster, napkin. This is the napkin that Gwen said when she went in to confront Jordan and say, hey, where were you like the night Beth died? What were you doing? And so he's on the phone. He wrote Last Bastion, Rock Lounge, Sleep, that's it. But in the background of this, back room open at 9 p.m. It's the hours of operation for the Rock Lounge. And that's important to know. Because it's going to come up in a little bit again about why 9 p.m. is important. So then we have Joey's anger management worksheet. And so this is just a worksheet. I guess they had him fill out at an anger management class. What happened? A client called to complain about a quote for the third time this week. Third time in 1 week. How did you feel and why? The client must think I'm stupid, like I would change the price just because he called and cried about it. I felt like crap because even this guy, this random nobody, thought I was easy to walk over. And even when I did give in, he didn't even say thank you. He didn't even consider it a nice thing to do. He acted like it was what I was supposed to do, is great because what I was supposed to do was charge him full price. Now Dad and Chris are going to be on my case about it. I can already hear them when they find out. Dad will say I should have just referred the client to him, and Chris will imply that I cost the company more money than I make in a year or something like that, which is stupid because they're probably right. I should have passed the client on to Dad, and I didn't want him to think I couldn't handle it. He'll say he knows I can handle it, and he knows I can do more, but never actually shows it. He always keeps me out of business talks. Everything he says comes in layers, and I know which one is the real meaning. It's really frustrating, and it makes me feel like he doesn't actually value me as a son or as a business partner. Event 2. What happened? Beth let Ruby have a sleepover in the den without talking to me about it first. They both assumed I wouldn't have an opinion, but actually there was a game I was looking forward to that night, and I wanted to use the big screen. It wouldn't have been a problem if they had just talked to me first. How did you feel and why? Beth knows I hate this. We've talked about it several times, and yet she still continues to do things without asking or even telling me. Sure, I don't mind handing over the den to Ruby. That's not the problem. I can always record the game and watch it later. I just wanted to be involved in the decision making. I felt angry and hurt that she would make a family decision behind my back. Again, even if I don't say anything, or if I say something stupid, at least give me the opportunity. It's like when the navigators decide on things, they act like we're one big family on the outside, but I always end up feeling left out. When I'm with them, someone will fill me in on what's been going on, but only offer the fact. I feel like such a loser just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, waiting for someone to catch me up to speed. Then, to make things worse, Beth decided we had to talk about it on our dinner date in front of tons of people. I couldn't deal with it. I didn't want to talk about it, so I left. I went out to try to make myself feel better, but I wish I hadn't. It only made things at home worse. Albin Risk has always been my escape, but now I feel like that name's just a shadow over me. Beth apologized when I got home, but I didn't say anything back. I just don't feel like she actually understands what the problem is, and it hurts every time she acts like she does. It's not that she doesn't listen or that she doesn't want to listen. She just has her own ideas about how certain things are supposed to, struggling to read that, how certain things are supposed to go. She has this idea of me as a good person, but it's just not true, and I can't tell her that, so I just don't say anything, and that just makes her more sad. So, Albin Risk, right? That, Albin Risk has always been my escape. And I was like, Albin Risk, what is that? It didn't make sense to me here in this setting. Albin Risk, is that a place? Like, is that somewhere he goes? What is that? And so that's really all that was in this. It seems to me, just from reading this, that maybe Joey doesn't feel appreciated. Maybe he doesn't feel like people listen to him or take his opinion into account. But it also seems to me that no matter what happens in life, poor Joey's the victim. People just don't understand him. People don't give him a chance. And I have a sneaking feeling that people got to that point because he's done stupid crap in the past. I feel like that. I feel like poor pitiful Joey. Well, Joey, how many times has your dad tried to explain something to you or show you something? Or it could be the opposite case. It really could be that no matter what Joey does, it's never good enough for his father. I could see it going both ways. So who knows? Anyhow, I just wanted to have a discussion about what was going on in this anger management form, letter, whatever you want to call it. Then we have the star chart. And this this star chart, I struggled for real with this star chart. They gave us a flashlight. They gave us a star chart with holes in it. And I knew that two of them had to go together. I knew that. I mean, why else would you have pinholes? And so I was shining the light through it, shining it up on the wall. It didn't do anything. It didn't spell anything. It didn't reveal anything miraculous. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, what if the only other thing that I could think of that we actually had stars on plays a part in this? And so I got out the voting record. And this is the voting record from the Navigators Club, and this is the star chart. And I was like, do these line up? But there was no way that I could ever get them to line up. Like, clearly the gap between, see where do they line up? These stars with the holes, the big, like, stars with the holes in them, kind of match what these things are. But I wrestled with this. I had no idea what to do or how to use it. And so I cheated. I actually gave up on this because it just wasn't working for me. And I went to the hints and solutions, and I looked up the answer to this. I gave up, and I never would have figured it out. I would have, if I hadn't done that, I would still be trying to figure out what this is. It just wasn't processing to me what I needed to do. So what they wanted you to do, and I'm going to start where this lighthouse is in this sun, and where this water is at the bottom here in this sun, they wanted you to stand the star chart up on this at a 90-degree angle, so that it looked like this. Then they wanted you to shine the light through onto the star chart. And supposedly, if you did that, the light coming through would shine on all of the yes votes on the card. And my assumption is if the people who voted no put their stamp on backwards or upside down so that they didn't so that they knew whether it was a yes vote or a no vote, because the stars are, the light's going to shine through that in the same place every time you set it up like that. So the orientation that you put your stamp on would indicate whether it's a yes or a no. So all of these stars, so the way it looks is, if you look at, we'll look at Martin's. There's a bold colored in star and an open not colored in star. So if the light shines on the bold colored in star, that's a yes vote. If the light shines on the open-ended star, that's a no vote. So going through here, we can see, for instance, that the colored in star doesn't have the light shining on it. So that's a no vote. We can see that the colored in star doesn't have the light shining on it. So that's a no vote. And remember, this vote was for approving the bridge committee. So we know that this is Martin. We know that this is Joey. We don't know who the other three people that voted yes were. We know that one of these two is Reverend Reaver, but we don't know which one, and I don't know that it matters. So the final vote, the final tally of the vote was 5-2, yes to no. Just like I said, this star chart really bewildered me. It won. The star chart literally defeated me. Good on them, though. Like, that was a good puzzle. I just don't know that me by myself, that I would have gotten to that answer. Maybe a group of people talking about it, everyone having an idea, would have pushed me to that. But I don't think I would have gotten that answer by myself. So I just chalked it up as a loss. Like, yeah, episode 5, you got me. Good job. I'm not mad. The fact that it was hard enough that I couldn't come up with a solution, I kind of actually enjoy that fact. So, anyhow, that's enough about the star chart. The next thing we get to is the text thread. And remember, Gwen messaged her friend who's a bartender at the bar to ask if Jordan was going to be there. Hi, Gwen. You remember working then? Oh, I guess I missed the top of it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I remember that Friday night. It was the weekend before the Lighthouse Festival, right? We had a Rock Lounge Lighthouse special. Super discount if you wore stripes. I wore an oyster hat. It was interesting. Oh, and I got this humongous tip. Look. And we're going to look at the picture. She sent us a better, larger picture. So we're going to look at the picture after we read through this. Was Jordan there that night? And then her friend just goes on, a solid $300. That's the biggest I think anyone's ever gotten. I don't know. I only worked the first hour or so. My babysitter canceled in the middle of my shift, so maybe Jordan came in later, but I wouldn't know. What's with the names? And she's referring to the names on the boards, and we'll look at that in a minute. Lots of customers like to use fake names or have one of us come up with one. They think it makes it discreet or something. So you're sure you didn't see Jordan that night? He says he was there. He definitely wasn't there while I was there. If he saw that tip come through, he definitely would have taken a cut for sure. Jordan takes your tips. He tries to, but what he doesn't know won't hurt him. I'm pretty sure that's illegal, but okay. Well, yeah. How are you holding up? So basically, was Jordan there? Well, Jordan wasn't there while I was there, but I was only there for the first hour, and this is where the time is important. So you see the clock says 5 till 10. This is the back room. This is the bar that opens up at 9. She was saying, I was only there for the first hour. So she got here at 9 and she left by 10. So we know that up until 10 o'clock, Jordan Woodard wasn't here. And that'll probably go into us narrowing down who did it, who didn't do it. So the top tippers of the month, Doug, $300. The Survivalist, $25. This is talking about what are the weird names, why the weird names on the board. And her friend was saying they either like to give us a fake name or have us make up names for them. Albanilla, Healing Crystal. Talk about a risky tipper. Sure, if crying in the corner since opening is risky, you know where he got that crap. This isn't high school. So once again, Albin, risky tipper, and then the letter from Sam with the necklace, risk taker, and you're the greatest risk I was willing to take. So Albin Risk is Joey Hendricks. That's his alter ego, his other persona. And Joey got here at 9 o'clock. And was sitting there crying all night. So it looks like Joey Hendricks cannot possibly have been the one who killed Beth. So this gets Joey off the hook. Because he was at the Rock Lounge crying in the corner. So Joey could not have done it. So Joey is off the hook. Joey is not our man. Doesn't alleviate his parents, but Joey's not our man. So then we get to the email. And I don't know if this is going to have bearing in the future or what. This is the email when Gwen said she wanted to talk about Ruby coming to live with her. And so Martin writes, thank you for coming directly to me about this. I hope you'll come to understand why I already told Ruby no when she asked about moving in with you. Coping with Beth's passing has been hard for all of us, but especially for Ruby. She's been grieving in her own way, but right now she needs stability more than anything. Ruby and Jody have gotten so much closer since Ruby moved in with us, and it has helped Jody so much. I know she can get lonely when Joey and I work extra hours, but she loves the company when working around the house. You should see the two of them garden together when Ruby gets home from school. It's been wonderful watching them grow together, and I'm sure it would break Jody's heart to no longer have Ruby in the house. Besides, you already have so much on your plate. Mona is so blessed to have a loving daughter like you to take care of her. Remember, Mona is the mom who's in bad health. Gwen and Beth's mom. I know it hasn't been easy for a single young woman to dedicate so much time to another person, all while running a business. Even you were telling me before you started this investigation how much work was involved in taking care of her. Now that Beth is no longer with us, it can't have gotten any easier. Having to watch over Ruby would only give you more to worry about, and it's best if you dedicate that energy to caring for your mom. I hate to put my foot down like this, but Ruby is much better off here, whether she knows it or not. In addition to caring for your mom, you have a hotel to run. You've built a wonderful business out of the Mariners Lodge that has a lot of room for growth, and I would hate to see you take on more debt or run into financial trouble with another mouth to feed. Ruby needs financial stability so that she can focus on her studies, and between Joey and myself, we can continue to provide a safe, loving home for her. This really is the best for everyone, Gwen. Thank you so much for your understanding. M. So, he just completely dismissed her. I was like, well, you're a single mom. You really can't afford it. You know, you have a job, so probably, and you take care of your mom, so probably you just can't handle raising a child. Like, it was so condescending, this note, in a not in a backhanded way, but at the same time in a backhanded way, like pretending like he's caring about her when basically he's telling her you can't handle it and you're never going to be able to take her from us. Like, she's ours now, pretty much is the attitude that that he was having. And then hold on, before we get to that, so remember Gwen had said that there was a video that her night manager had sent her. And I'm going to play this video a couple of times because I've watched it. There's a conversation in the background of the video that is what is most important.
Looking for a place to relax after a long week at work? Get a room at the Mariners Lodge Hotel, and you'll have access to our gated 24-hour community pool and... Hey, excuse me? Are you serious? We're recording.
It's done, all right?
Looking for a place to relax after a long day at work? Get a room at the Mariners Lodge Hotel, and you'll have access to our gated 24-hour community pool and hot tub. Stop by the front desk today to grab your key card and complimentary towel set. Cut. We got this.
Okay, did you hear the phone conversation that went on in the background? We're going to back it up and just listen to that again real quick.
Hey, excuse me? Are you serious? We're recording.
It's done, all right?
So, in case you couldn't hear it clearly, the phone conversation said, "Come on, I've got it. It's done, all right?" And this video was shot at 9:36, and the alarm company had messaged Gwen at 9:32 saying that the pump room was flooding. So basically, this video is essentially whoever broke into the pump room, tampered with the pump, walking out past the pool, and get the phone call that says, "It's done, I've got it, all right." So we just heard the voice of, if not the actual guilty party, the person that the guilty party hired to tamper with or sabotage or destroy the pool pump. So it's sort of starting to make sense, and I don't know. I don't want to start analyzing too much. and ruin some of what I might find next week by guessing ahead of. But I definitely have ideas in my head about what's going on and how this is playing out. And so we're just going to have to see how that turns out, what happens next week. The one thing I do want to get to is, of course, I emailed Glenn, said, hey, it was Joey Hendricks. He's off the hook. You're completely right. Albanilla must be a nickname based on Joey's old alter ego, Alban Risk. I didn't think he still went by that name, but it makes sense. With Joey off the list, that leaves us with our 3 people that could have killed Beth and might want to kill me. Jordan, Martin, and Jody. It feels crazy, but I have to talk to them. Sully doesn't agree, worries that I'll get myself into even more trouble. I get that he's concerned for my safety, but as long as Beth's murderer is still out there, I'm not safe. They know I've been looking into it, and based on the voicemail and bottled note, I'd say they're getting scared. And if they're getting scared, it means we're close. I'll circle back with you once I've gathered everything. Gwen. So, first of all, Sully has to be the absolute worst boyfriend, ex-boyfriend / police officer in the world. I mean, we've handed him this case up until this point. And he's still trying to talk Gwen into not pursuing it. Like, clearly there's enough evidence there that the police should be willing to reopen the investigation. But they're not. That's why we're here. So I am sorry that this episode took so long. Like I said in the unboxing, they had to ship me out 2 boxes because the first one got lost in the mail. I will tell you that the episode 6 has already been ordered and has been shipped. And so I will be able to get a second episode in this month. Once again, it's my understanding that this is season 9 of Hunt a Killer, and that the Hunt a Killer company is actually, the current season for them is season 11. So we still have another season to go to get caught up. I'm hoping if we can double up or even occasionally triple up in a month, depending on shipping and how long it takes me to solve this, I'm hoping that at some point by May we will be current with the Hunt a Killer, with their monthly, and we won't be able to order ahead. But in the weeks that we don't have any mysteries to look forward to, because we know that it's going to be another 15 or 20 days before we get a box, maybe there's something else. There are a bunch, from what I understand, of these subscription mystery things to look at. So we'll try to find something to fill that time once we get to that point. But anyhow, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything, whether it's good or bad, please leave a comment down below. I read all the comments, and I respond to the ones I get. I really do. And I'd love to hear from you all. So once again, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you all have a great week.